Hey guys, it's Annabelle with Ask Annabelle from the dog store in Alexandria. I am here with Lindsay from Primal again, and she is going to talk to us about some of their new products coming out, as well as how you can go ahead and mix fresh and raw foods with kibble, because I know a lot of y'all have had a few questions, particularly since Amber and I have mentioned that that's actually what we do and how we feed. So Lindsay is going to let us know how it actually is totally okay for the dog's stomach.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. So for a really long time, it's all I heard, right? When I started feeding raw foods when I was working at the veterinary clinics years ago, there was a lot of discussion, I think, when raw was initially becoming more popular, that mixing raw and kibble was super dangerous and that you had to split the meals up. So if you were doing raw in the morning and kibble at night, that was maybe okay, but you could never mix them together.
Yeah.
And as I got into the industry and learned more about nutrition through my bachelor's degree, I realized that doesn't really have a lot of science-based reality to it. So humans and dogs have similar digestive tracts. We're monogastric, meaning we have one stomach. It's not compartmentalized like a cow, right? Just one stomach and an intestine. And although ours are longer than dogs and cats are to deal with more plant-based foods, they're essentially the same. Dogs have slightly more acidic stomachs than we do, but it's by fractions of a decimal point, and our stomachs respond to what we eat all the time. So if you ate a meal that was full of carbohydrates, your stomach would respond differently than if you ate a meal that was full of protein, and your dog is the same way. Kibble-based foods are around 40% carbohydrate on average, and raw foods are generally much less than that. Our foods are less than 5% carbohydrate, and the carbohydrate that's in there is insoluble fiber. So it's fiber they don't digest, so it's not really impacting the digestive juices, including acidity in their stomach. So when you mix raw with kibble, the body takes it as a whole. Like it doesn't realize that the kibble is separate from the raw food. It would be just like you eat. So one of the most popular foods in the world for humans to eat is sushi. And sushi generally contains raw protein and cooked starch.
Right, that's kind of what we were looking at, is like a poke bowl or something where it's like, you know, the starch and then like a raw food or, you know, mostly raw fish where it might be like seared or something.
Sure. Now we know that it's really important for sushi that you're careful of where the meat comes from. And there's a lot of reality-based science behind that, right? So if you took raw chicken from the grocery store and you put it on top of your dog's kibble, what might be a problem that you could see from that, you think?
Yeah, quite a few things, you know, salmonella.
That's right. So the raw chicken from the grocery store doesn't have the same standards as the raw pet foods that you're buying from the dog store or other commercial raw pet foods, because raw meat that you find at the grocery store is
meant to be cooked.
Yes. So the USDA and the FDA has different allowances for how much bacteria can be on those foods versus ours, which follow a zero tolerance policy. So all of our raw foods, whether they're the raw meat toppers like these or any of our raw products,
freeze-dried included.
Freeze-dried included, because freeze-drying does not kill harmful bacteria. It's a really great preserver of bacteria. Most of the probiotic capsules that you buy are freeze-dried. So we make sure that the foods are pathogen-free, and that comes from a lot of things. Just like with sushi, it's about good sourcing. Poultry is difficult to get pathogen-free, so we do use a cold water pressure process called HPP to kill the salmonella in our poultry products only. We just make sure that the raw food is safe, so that when it's mixed with something that's carbohydrate-rich, if that carbohydrate-rich food takes a little bit longer to digest, which it will in comparison to a raw food, that the salmonella won't cause a problem, right? And so if you're mixing salmonella-loaded raw chicken from the grocery store with your pet's kibble, there is a chance that your pet could get sick from that. Dogs don't get sick as much as humans do from salmonella-based foods because their digestive tracts are much shorter.
Yeah, so it doesn't kind of sit in there as long, and it doesn't affect them quite as easily.
And it is true what you were saying to me earlier today about it impacting the gastric acidity. So the amount of acid that they put into their stomach to digest protein, high protein meals versus high carbohydrate meals is slightly different, but both are very acidic. So the acid that they pump into their stomach to digest carbs is just less acidic acid. If that makes any sense. So really, you're gonna have very similar benefits to the acid that's entering their stomach, and I would contend that adding raw food to their processed carbohydrate-rich food is going to improve their digestion dramatically.
Because it'll help break it down down a little bit faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got all the enzymes that are in raw food, you've got the moisture, you've got all the beneficial bacteria, you've got higher protein, which when you're adding something that's less than 5% protein to something that's 40% carbohydrate, you've changed that ratio, so you've given them all of those good proteins that they need. So that's when we came up with this product. So we used to sell this product in these mix
like
and
chubs.
grind rolls. Yeah. They're in these chubs and they're really difficult to thaw. And most of our customers, because these aren't balanced, are mixing them with other foods. So to us, it seemed logical for us to put it into this format. Now they can be sprinkled on the top of kibble foods, or they can add other foods to make them balanced, or they can add it to the top of raw foods. There's a whole line of meat with organic veggie. They're not complete and balanced, but it is meat with a bit of organic produce.
Okay.
And then there's ones that are meat only, and they're going to come in 5 different proteins. So
Okay.
there'll be a sardine only, a pork only, a chicken, a turkey, and a beef.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're really excited.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for kind of helping us with
Thank you.
all of those crazy myths. Because like
Yeah.
I've even heard not only you should do one meal in the morning, one meal in the evening, but like you should wait a week between.
Sure.
Which, like I've been feeding Artemis partial raw, partial kibble for over a year now.
There's so
And-
many raw blended kibbles on the market now. I think people forget that freeze-dried is still raw food.
Yeah, and like I had somebody tell me that freeze dried is much easier for them, and I'm like, it's still raw.
Still raw food.
And so, you know, just having somebody who really understands the science behind it that can really, you know, explain it to us in such an easy to understand way. I really appreciate you
of
taking the
course.
time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So thank you so much for taking the time. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to stop in the store or check us out on Facebook or Instagram and let us know. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.